Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Today, President Trump calling for the end of the Ayatollah Khamenei's rule in Iran, saying it's time to look for new leadership. That coming as the exiled Crown Prince says the Islamic regime is close to collapse. Here at home, pro-life pregnancy centers expanding their message that lives of babies and mothers matter, and providing more medical services, including primary medical care. A new treatment to help those suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Some call it an answer to prayer, and it's not science fiction. It's happening now. Robots coming to work in factories, businesses, and even your home. These stories and much more today on NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin with President Trump saying over the weekend it's time for new leadership in Iran. The president's statement is the latest volley in the showdown between the U.S. and the Islamic Republic. And it comes as the exiled Crown Prince of Iran is calling for protests to continue. CBN's Chris Mitchell brings us the story from Jerusalem.
Trump told the online news publication Politico it's time to look for new leadership in Iran and said Ayatollah Khamanei is a sick man who should stop killing people. His comments came after Iran's supreme leader accused Trump of slander and blamed him for the deadly violence inside Iran. The war of words comes as the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Task Force is just days away from the Middle East. It's part of a military buildup in the region, including F-15s and anti-missile batteries. The White House says all options are still on the table, and the military assets give Trump a number of military options if he decides to strike Iran. Despite a new internet blackout, horrific reports continue to come out of the regime crushing the protests, including using snipers and chemical weapons against protesters and Revolutionary Guard soldiers executing the injured in hospitals. Sources inside the country say the regime has killed tens of thousands of its own people, and that for now the brutal response and large number of security forces on the streets has quieted the large-scale demonstrations. Over the weekend, hackers took over Iranian TV and broadcast a message from exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, who some see as a traditional leader if the regime falls. At a Washington, D.C. press conference, Pahlavi said the Islamic regime is close to collapse.
Ali Khamenei and his thugs know this. That's why they are lashing out like a wounded animal, desperate to cling to power. The people have not retreated. Their determination has made one thing clear. They are not merely rejecting this regime, they are demanding a credible new path forward.
Pahlavi also says he trusts President Trump, but whether or not the U.S. steps in, the protests must continue.
I believe the president is a man of his word, as I said before. How many days it might take, who knows? Hopefully sooner than later. But as I said before, regardless of whether action is taken or not, we as Iranians have no choice to carry on the fight. We're halfway across the river. There's no turning back. We will continue.
This weekend, the Trump administration stirred backlash from the Netanyahu government when it released the members of the Gaza Executive Board. The body charged with rebuilding Gaza, which includes demilitarizing Hamas, lists representatives of Turkey and Qatar. Israel objects to both Turkey and Qatar for their ties to the Muslim Brotherhood and support of Hamas, and is requesting a meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio over the matter.
And Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, great to see you as always. Chris, are Trump's remarks about the new leadership in Iran being seen as a possible sign the U.S. might intervene militarily in Iran?
Well, it certainly seems that way, Wendy. All these military assets on the way, the F-15s, air refuelers, and then the USS Abraham Lincoln. Everybody's waiting for that to get into the region. Israel also received 3 more F-35s. The questions remain, Wendy, was where they're going to strike, how long of a strike it would be, how big of a strike. President Trump has really been sending a bit mixed signals, I should say. Help is on the way, he said about a week ago. Then he was thankful for the halt of the execution. So now When he says they're looking for new leadership, that certainly means that a military strike may be on the way, and maybe striking the forces that have been suppressing and literally crushing these protests. And that's exactly what many people here are praying about. And certainly the people of Iran are hoping and praying that somehow President Trump can intervene to perhaps topple this regime that's been suppressing them for nearly 50 years.
Chris, have the protests quieted down? What can you tell us about what's happening in Iran right now?
Well, it seems like the protests have quieted down only because any people that are going out in the streets right now are literally getting killed. We know that there's been unknown gases been causing vomiting and dizziness for people. They're breaking into homes and, as we've said before, arresting people in the hospitals who literally have gunshot wounds. Many people are abducted. We don't know when where they go. So right now, some people say there's really de facto regimes ruling different cities. Many of the streets are empty, businesses closed, shortages of food, and then the food prices are rising. There's one report, Wendy, that says, nearly 20,000 protesters have been killed, but also over 300,000 that have been injured. That's just a staggering number. And many of the protesters that have died were due to a shortage of blood. And then literally IRGC operatives coming in and telling doctors not to treat the wounded. And it's, people being dragged from the hospital. Just an awful situation there, and why people have been around the world literally praying for the people of Iran.
It's so horrific. Well, the exiled Crown Prince Pahlavi is calling for the protests to continue. What can you tell us about that?
Well, as I just said, it's very hard for the protesters to go out, to the streets, because literally these forces are killing many of the people if they do show up on the streets. Some of the forces that have been employed by the regime come from outside the regime. Some people from militias from Iraq, from Afghans. And as we had talked actually on Christian World News just a couple of days ago, Wendy, using a drug called Captagon, which actually increases their energy and reduces sort of the filter they have to kill without any compunction. So these are very difficult days for the people in Iran. And Reza Pahlavi, as he said in his press conference on Friday, he's hoping that President Trump can intervene. But regardless of that he believes these protests will continue, that they've sort of gone beyond the way that they can ever turn back. I think Iran will never be the same after these last few weeks, and hopefully this regime could fall.
And Chris, switching subjects, what's happening in Syria right now? Can you get us up to date?
It's a very, very important story that's sort of underreported because of all the attention on Iran. But right now, there's been a ceasefire agreement between the al-Shura Syrian government and the Kurdish dominated government in northeast Syria. There's a transfer of power. What has happened, Wendy, is that the Syrian army has gone eastward, and there had been in northeast Syria an autonomous region. It had been a democratic area for about 10 years now. We've reported on it. We've gone there to see it for ourselves. This democratic government of Kurds and Arabs and Christians working together. And now it seems like the Shura government, where some people say the tacit approval of the U.S. has gone in and taking over this area. So it's a very, very important story. We're going to be reporting more about that. But people need to understand this is a very dramatic shift within the Syria, and shows to many what the al-Shura government is really all about.
Chris, and lastly, what can you tell us about how do Israelis feel right now? You guys are so much closer to the action. There's so much uncertainty. We don't know if things are going to happen militarily in Iran. What is the sense in Israel about how do people feel?
I guess we're all waiting to see what's going to happen with Iran. That's the main thing right now that people are watching and looking for. And as we talked recently, there's so many things that have happened since October 7th. This seems to be one more historic event that keeps unfolding, and prophetic events as well that we see unfolding right now, Wendy, here in the Middle East.
All right, Chris Mitchell in Jerusalem for us. We always appreciate your insights. Thank you so much, Chris. And our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief, which I just said, Chris Mitchell. Thanks so much, Chris. And we look forward to hearing from you, of course, in the days ahead. Well, coming up here at home, a change for pro-life pregnancy centers. Many are going beyond helping pregnant mothers in crisis. Now they're offering others medical services as well to help expand their pro-life message. We'll bring you that story when we come back. Pro-life pregnancy centers are known for offering ultrasounds, diapers, and other help to women in crisis pregnancies. Now a growing number of these centers have expanded their services, including primary medical care. Charlene Aaron has the story.
The move to include medical services has been underway for years and began gaining traction after the fall of Roe v. Wade. This helps pregnancy centers expand the pro-life message that the lives of babies and women matter.
Now we have more than 75% of our of the pregnancy centers across the nation are actually doing ultrasound and other medical services. So this has been something that's been building for the last 30 plus years.
Jor-El is president of Heartbeat International.
Our country becomes more a landscape of life states and abortion states. You know, the idea that abortion is not supposed to be happening in some of our states, but women are still faced with challenging decisions, and we want to bring positive, life-affirming health care to them.
Alternatives Pregnancy Center in Sacramento, California, serves as one example. In the last 2 years, it's added family practice doctors, a radiologist, and a specialist in high-risk pregnancies. Nurses and medical assistants are also on staff. Executive Director Heidi Matzke points out Alternatives is the only health provider for some patients.
When women come to us for whatever reason, they don't have health insurance at the time. All of our services, again, here are free. Everything from pregnancy tests to STD testing to vaginal exams to well woman visits, prenatal care.
This center also offers abortion pill reversal services, as well as helping women seeking to detransition, something Matzke was approached about after speaking at a church service.
I had what appeared to be a man, come up to me and asked me if I would see someone like him. And obviously a little nervous in that conversation, but what he began to explain was that he was actually she, and she was born biologically female, spent 6 years transitioning, found Jesus Christ as her personal savior, and was abandoned by her doctors in the detransitioning process.
A staff doctor there specializes in hormone therapy.
And she said, would your doctor see someone like me? And I just find it fascinating that God named our clinic Alternatives Pregnancy Center. And who would have ever dreamed that he would use this pregnancy clinic in a situation like that?
With Planned Parenthood clinics shutting down nationwide, pregnancy centers aim to not only compete with, but even transcend the longtime abortion provider.
We're seeing in their collapse. So their business model was centered around the abortion and like care. That's why we're seeing them close in both life states and abortion states. But we're really seeing them move their model online, which is less about care for the woman and more about care for their bottom line. Meanwhile, pregnancy centers are motivated because they want to serve women, they want to love on women, and help them make an informed decision.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Still ahead, a new treatment that is alleviating the effects of PTSD. Combat vets who've received it are calling it an answer to prayer. We'll show you how a 15-minute procedure is stopping 50 years of nightmares right after this. Statistics show that 18 U.S. military veterans commit suicide each day. The leading cause, post-traumatic stress disorder. One doctor says he's found an effective treatment to alleviate these invisible wounds of war. CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson explains the procedure that's being called an answer to prayer.
For more than a decade, Dr. Sean Mulvaney has performed a unique nerve block on thousands of combat veterans to help minimize their anxiety, anger, and nightmares stemming from war. After serving 31 years as both a Navy SEAL and Army physician, Dr. Mulvaney understands a soldier's emotional battle better than most.
They're good people that love their country. We owe them.
The stellate ganglion block involves injecting a local anesthetic into the stellate ganglion nerve bundles on either side of the neck. They're connected to the brain and largely responsible for the body's reaction to perceived danger. The anesthesia blocks those signals for about 6 to 12 hours, which helps reset the sympathetic nerve system. Dr. Mulvaney gave the block to Tim Chandler, a 30-year veteran who had become suicidal.
When I had PTSD, if I was in a circular room that had 50 doors, I might only had 5 doors available to me, couldn't open the others. I had this treatment, and within 24 hours, it felt like 30 doors had just popped open.
Chandler feels so convinced this treatment can help others that he helps them get it through his nonprofit Silent Watch.
If there's a veteran that can't afford this treatment, if they contact us, we cover the cost of the treatment for them. You know, $1,600 is a lot, but not if it gives you your life back. It's pennies, you know, and we're glad to do it.
Dr. Mulvaney explains the benefits.
They're able to sleep better at night. They're able to repair relationships around them. They're able to be around other people without it being so stressful.
He reports the risks and side effects are minimal, with more than 85% of his patients experiencing significant improvement.
We've done 17 studies in the last 15 years, published in the peer-reviewed literature.
Despite this documentation, the VA considers the treatment experimental and doesn't generally cover the cost, saying it may have short-term benefit and that the longer-term effects are unknown, adding it has not been fully researched in veterans with PTSD.
The VA has a hard job, and I'm not presuming to tell them how to use all their resources, but I certainly would like to see this available to service members and veterans.
In addition to minimizing the terrible, potentially fatal symptoms of PTSD, stellate ganglion block has also been shown to help people suffering from traumatic brain injuries. Some patients experience relief from symptoms such as chronic headaches and loss of balance.
When we do a stellate ganglion block, we're resetting the cerebral blood flow, the blood flow to the brain. And that in traumatic brain injury, there can be these areas of persistent hypoxia or low oxygen, and we're able to restore that.
The block can also help relieve what amputees call phantom limb pain.
I lost my legs in Iraq to an IED explosion in 2006. I would get the sensation of being stabbed repeatedly in some part of my foot over and over and over, about every 15 seconds for like a day or two at a time. The SGB was the answer to a search that had taken years to find. After getting the SGB, I felt like my old self for the first time in a long time. That's what gives me so much joy, is feeling like the man that I know that I am. And I am so delighted that this procedure exists.
Former combat vet Renee Witherspoon calls the treatment an answer to prayer.
God is gracious enough to give us from the time of Adam, that he meets us in our brokenness and our pain. And so he provides medicine and ways to heal us.
Fighting ISIS in the Middle East left her with unshakable fear and anxiety.
You develop a heightened sense of awareness, so everything is potentially a threat.
She turned to Dr. Mulvaney for help.
I am not reactive to the extent I used to be.
The SGB procedure takes about 15 minutes. Dr. Mulvaney uses Doppler ultrasound to guide him to the precise target. About a third of his patients only require one treatment. After a short rest, patients are free to leave the office. Unlike some SGB practitioners, Dr. Mulvaney routinely injects both sides of the neck, as he believes that produces better results. Therefore, his patients come back the next day for the other side.
If you were on a scale of 0 to 100 with PTSD, you're up around the 70, 80, 90 range. Once you have this treatment, it'll bring you down to the 20, 25, 30 range.
So while many combat vets feel uncomfortable asking for help, many who received SGB are glad they did.
I always make a guarantee I'll buy you a dinner at any restaurant if you don't feel some positive out of it. And I've never bought a dinner yet.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Thanks, Lori. Coming up, it sounds like a science fiction movie. Robots working in homes and businesses, but they're here now. And we'll bring you a look when we come back. Well, the next wave of technology is coming fast. Robots in a wide variety were on display recently at the CES Technology Show in Las Vegas. Robots are expected to move more and more into the mainstream in the years ahead, in everything from factories to homes, and some of them will incorporate artificial intelligence. Although analysts say it will take some time for the use of robots to become widespread, many also believe they will eventually be as common as smartphones and computers. I really hope not. It looks spooky to me. All right, well, that's it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen today. You can email us at newswatch@cbn.com or reach out on Facebook, Instagram, or X, formerly known as Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. From all of us, have a great day. God bless you.